The theme of today's video are lies that we need to stop believing when single. Sometimes this single season can feel just relentless and it can actually feel pretty depressing. And you can just feel in this place of negativity or loneliness or isolation. And it's a really bad place to be. And not only does it start to impact every area of your life, because you're just not a fun person when you're in that space. You're not a productive person, you're not fruitful, and you're not doing any favors for yourself. So I wanted to dig into some of the lies that I definitely have believed during this single season and just rebuke them and kind of reject them and show why they are illogical. All right, so number one is, it's too late for me. I missed my chance. So, first of all, God's timing is always perfect. Second of all, when I think about the relationships I was in my early 20s and the way that I was discerning and the way I was falling for people. So it was very much like a magnetic attraction for one, and then seeing if there was like a friendship. Like friendship was always so important to me, to have this kind of, banter with someone. But it was never an alignment of values. And I can really see now, and unfortunately I have been present to see some marriages that are really difficult and really hard because there is not this vision alignment, and there can be arguments about, the way you're raising your children or your faith life or your home life or the way that you work, like all these kind of things. And I think, wow, God really spared me of that with some of my broken relationships and with the fact that, I'm now in my 30s and I'm still single, and He really, I think, shielded me from a potentially very unhappy life because I was entering relationships for the wrong reasons. And I was staying in them from a place of habit or comfort or fear or scarcity, right? Sometimes I also fall victim to this mindset of, oh my gosh, did I miss my chance? Was that my shot? But I'm like, I know God doesn't operate from a place of fear. And I was either feeling very anxious or just it didn't feel right. And then I watched this video that came up on social media, and it was really lovely. It was like this couple, and they must have been in their, I want to say, mid to late 70s. And they were talking about what they loved in each other. And when I watched that, I was like, couple goals. Like, they just seemed so comfortable. They were really thriving. They looked fulfilled. And, they said when they fight, it just, it comes out and then they let it go, and it's great. He was explaining that before he met her, he had never even gotten one stamp on his passport. They're an American couple, so I guess he'd only traveled around the United States, and how much adventure she'd brought into his life. And I was watching yes, this is what I really want. This is amazing. And then they reveal in the interview, she was like, well, I met him later in life. I was 60 when we got married. And I was like, sorry, excuse me? And they'd been married for 14 years. And don't forget this line that he said about this adventure that he started having when they met. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is really, truly never too late. And then also I have an amazing testimony of a woman that I know from work. And she met this guy through another person at work. And it was just such a fun story. And they got married within a year. And, she's in her later 30s, her mid to late 30s. And it's just, I don't know, when that happened, I was so happy at their wedding because I was like, I'm just rejoicing with you guys because you give me hope that, my goodness, God can just redeem and change your life at any time. And then there's this family at church, and they were telling me about how the mother-in-law only got married when she was 36 and she still had 4 children. And all these amazing stories. My great-grandmother had 4 children after the age of 42, 4 of 11 children that she had. But still, I was like, yeah, okay, it is just not too late. So I know that there are great stories of every age, whether they're meeting in their very early 20s, even at 19, to this story of mating in their 60s. And it just humbled me, I think, to just know I'm rebuking that lie. It is not too late. And my goodness, you can start having the best adventures at the age of 60. I was like, okay, I need to stop with this whole oh, it's just too late for me. Oh, I missed my chance. It's just a lie. It's a lie from the devil. And I just want to encourage you as well to just bat that one away, because no. And then my second favorite lie that I love to ruminate on is that everyone's judging me for still being single. So I really operate from a place of needing people's validation. It's not healthy. It's not how I want to operate, but that kind of affirmation you get from other people, I really thrive on that. And God has been so inviting me to just be you got to say to yourself, girl, like, let my ego decrease and Jesus increase in me, for one. And secondly, like, no one actually cares, in the sense that no one is probably judging you as much as you think they are. No one is thinking about you as much as you think they're thinking about you, because everyone is very self-centered and we're all thinking about our own things. And thirdly, like, even if people are judging you, like, it's a bit sad that she's still single, who cares? I'm sorry, it's really hard because, like, I do care. But someone once told me, like, we are in this life and we're living for an audience of one. And that audience of one is God. And everyone else, and of course they matter, like our family matter, our friends matter, our colleagues matter. Yes, but God matters the most. And if we know that we are living a virtuous life, you know, in this season, the single season, then what really do we have to prove? So this is just me imploring all of us to be like, really, ultimately, probably no one is thinking those things that you're thinking that they're thinking of you, and just being able to let that go and to be able to really live from a place of freedom and operate from a place of peace, just being like, I'm leaning into this surrender that God's timing is good, His plan, His person, it's all good. Of course, I know I need to be proactive, and that's humbling for me, because I had someone message me like, hey, you should come to these Christmas Carol events, you know, maybe you'll meet someone. And I haven't gone because I've been really tired, and I have actually needed to catch up on a few things at home. And I know that obviously that means today, tomorrow, I've not met my person. Okay, so yes, I'm employing us to not just be watching YouTube or on our phones at home. We do have to actually go out there, be out in the world. But we don't need to do that from a place of scarcity or desperation, or because we're worried what people are going to say about us. Like, audience of one, I really love that. And that's helping me to reorient my life in a good place of abundance, and a place where I can be like, you know what, God, today is Sunday, it's the Sabbath. I'm going to rest in you. And tomorrow I'll try again. And I think trusting in God and showing that you can rest is actually testament to trusting in God. Because I came from a place of needing to always be hyper productive, always doing something, always going out, always meeting new people, always making new friends. Because I was operating from a place of, I don't trust you, God, to have it together for me. So I need to really do everything. And I'll tell you, that didn't really necessarily do anything. Like, I have no interest in going on dates that aren't going to end up as my husband. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but what I mean is, I don't want to date for dating's sake. I will go on a date if someone intrigues me, if someone interests me, if I see some potential, but I'm not just going to date to soothe me during this single time because it makes me feel like I'm closer to the person, because it's not necessarily that way. Like, sometimes taking some time to myself to lean into my own development and my own confidence, that is probably going to get me closer to the person than going on 5 dates in 1 week, you know? Just forget what everyone is saying about you or thinking about you. They probably aren't thinking it or saying it, and even if they are, it doesn't matter. And then the last one is that there are no good men or women left. And first of all, think logically here. Even if you want to go in a really secular kind of like superficial kind of route, there are lots of very like hot, successful celebrities who are still single in their 30s, in their 40s. And then you think about yourself, right? Hopefully you're operating from a place of self-confidence when you're like, I know my worth and I know my value and I'm a pretty good catch. And if you're a catch and you're single, that means there are other people who are single who are catches out there. So I just implore you to not act from that place of scarcity, because I think that's going to end us up in the wrong relationships, because it's like, there's no one good left. And then someone asks you out and you're like, yes, okay, yes, I will be with you forever, even though you haven't discerned that they're the right person for you. And remember that verse in John 10:10, you know, Jesus says, I came to give you life and life in abundance. And there's something in that which is like, yeah, he doesn't want you to operate or live from a place of scarcity, because when we do that, we make decisions out of fear. And that's not sensible. We need to make decisions boldly out of knowing that like our lives are great and inherently valuable, because we are inherently valuable. And when we create a life of joy, then it's just a bonus. It's just an amazing bonus to meet someone who we can create a new life with. But it's not a necessity for our own value. And when we don't operate from that kind of way of thinking, where we idolize marriage and family and we kind of see our value in our relationship status, we're in a much better place to realize that there are amazing people out there it just takes us all a little bit more time. It takes people different amounts of time. You know, I remember when my friends got their driving license when they were like 19, and I was so jealous. And I remember feeling really behind. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't drive, like blah, blah, blah. I actually didn't get my license until I was like 27 or 28. But I now love driving. I love driving. I'm known as a very good driver, and it's something that brings me so much joy. And when I think about it, I probably just wasn't ready at 19. I was very nervous. I found it stressful. And, you know, it took me a little bit longer. I was a late bloomer when it came to driving, and maybe I'll be a late bloomer when it comes to my marriage or raising a family, but it doesn't make it any less worth it or any less enjoyable. We just need to make sure that we're enjoying the time and the ride, and just knowing that, hey, there are amazing people out there. And last time I checked, there are 8.2 billion people in the world right now. We only need one, and we have a God who knows everyone and everything, and we think that he's not going to make that happen if it's in his will, if that's in our plan. Yeah, it's kind of a bit like, I think we're being a bit smarmy or a little bit smug if we think we know better than God. So I just want to encourage you guys to, and myself really, to reject these lies, because they are depressing and they just put you in this really dark place. So I hope that was helpful. As always, I'll speak to you soon, and God bless. Bye.